You've always felt different. Not because you're broken, but because you're not built like most people. And you've been pretending your entire life because of it. Not in the dramatic way, not in the obvious way. In the small, constant, exhausting way that no one talks about. 12 years old, school cafeteria, holding your tray. Everyone's laughing at something. You smile too, but you don't get it. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. You fake it anyway. That became your default. Fake it. Not because you're broken, not because there's something wrong with you, but because somewhere along the way, you figured out that being yourself was complicated, expensive. So you learned to perform. And here's what nobody tells you about that performance. It works. Sort of. You get through school. You make friends. Well, people you spend time with. You land jobs. You have relationships. From the outside, you look fine. But inside you've been running calculations non-stop since you were a kid. How long do I hold eye contact here? Was that joke funny? Or am I supposed to be offended? Why is everyone obsessed with this thing that feels completely meaningless to me? 11:43 p.m. You're scrolling through social media. Everyone's out, having fun, living their best lives apparently. You're home, phone screen glowing blue in the dark, and you feel relief. Not loneliness, relief. Because being around people is work for you in a way it isn't for them. That's the part that confuses you most. Other people seem to just exist. They go to parties and actually have fun. They small talk without their brain screaming. Why are we discussing weather patterns for 7 minutes? They connect easily, naturally. You don't. You've tried. God, you've tried. You've read the books. How to Win Friends. The Charisma Myth. Just be yourself. That last one's cute. Be yourself. Which self? The one that thinks about death at birthday parties? The one that analyzes conversation patterns instead of participating in them? That self? You learn to translate yourself into something digestible. Job interview. They ask, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Honest answer? I don't even know what I want for dinner. Real answer? Whatever corporate bullshit they want to hear. You deliver it. Poker face perfect. They hire you. Success, right? Except you go home and feel like you just ran a marathon. Socializing for you is like speaking a second language all day. Technically fluent. Exhausting as hell. Here's the part nobody tells you. Nobody sees this. Because you've gotten so good at the performance that even you forget sometimes. Until you're alone. Then it hits. That heaviness. That, I just survived another day of being someone I'm not feeling. You've always been different. You know this. But you thought different was the problem. So you tried to fix it. You tried to be more outgoing. More spontaneous. More normal. Whatever that means. You watched how other people moved through the world and attempted to copy it. It sort of worked. Again, from the outside, you pass. But passing isn't living. This is where most people get it wrong. What if the problem isn't that you're different? What if the problem is that you've been trying not to be? Think about it. All that energy you spend translating yourself, performing normalcy, calculating your responses. What if you redirected that? What if you used that processing power for something other than camouflage? Because here's what's actually happening. You're not broken. You're running different software. Everyone else is on autopilot for social situations. They're not thinking about it. They're just doing it. Like breathing. For them, small talk is easy. Surface-level connection is satisfying. Group dynamics are natural. For you, you're seeing the code behind the interaction. You're noticing the patterns, the subtext, the things people aren't saying. You're processing on 5 levels, while they're cruising on 1. That's not a deficit. That's different architecture. And this is the mistake you've been making. You've been trying to run their software on your hardware, and it's killing you. Party conversation. Someone says something supposedly profound. Everyone nods, impressed. You're thinking, that's not deep at all, that's just repackaged hallmark wisdom. But you nod too, because disagreeing makes you the weird one. You've learned that your observations, your actual thoughts, make people uncomfortable. When you point out the thing everyone's ignoring, you're too intense. When you skip the small talk and go straight to real conversation, you're a lot. When you need alone time after social events, you're antisocial. So you stop. You learn to keep the interesting parts of your brain on mute. You learn to be less. And that's the exhaustion you feel. Not from being different, from pretending you're not. The thing is, most people don't think this deeply about existence. They don't lie awake at 3 a.m. wondering about consciousness, meaning the absurdity of social rituals. They don't notice the script everyone's reading from. You do. You always have. Childhood. Teacher says, show your work on a math test. You got the answer but can't explain how. Red pen marks everywhere. The process section is blank because you just knew. Your brain doesn't work in steps. It works in leaps. That never changed. You still leap. Your brain still makes connections others don't see. But you've learned to pretend you arrived there logically, sequentially, the normal way. Kierkegaard said, the crowd is untruth. He meant that truth exists in the individual, not in the collective. The crowd demands conformity. The individual demands authenticity. You've been choosing the crowd, not because you want to, because it seemed like the only option. But here's what nobody tells you. The crowd doesn't even notice half the time. You're performing for an audience that isn't watching that closely. They're too busy with their own stuff. The person who needs you to be normal, that's you. You're the one who decided different was a problem. First date, they're talking about their day. You're analyzing their word choice, their body language, what they're not saying. You've missed the actual story because you were busy decoding subtext. That's your default. You can't turn it off, and you've been treating that like a curse. What if it isn't? What if the way you see the world, the pattern recognition, the depth processing, the constant analysis, what if that's not something to hide? What if that's the thing? Here's the brutal truth. I'm not giving you a solution. I'm not telling you, just accept yourself and everything will be fine. That's bullshit. Everything won't be fine. You're still going to feel out of place. You're still going to be exhausted after social events. You're still going to think thoughts that make people uncomfortable. But maybe that's not the problem you think it is. Maybe the problem is that you've been using all your energy trying to be someone you're not, instead of using it to be more of who you are. Family dinner. Everyone's comfortable with small talk. You're suffocating. Fork scraping plate. Clock ticking. You want to scream, but you don't, because that's not how normal people behave. Except you're not normal people. You never were. And pretending to be is costing you everything. Friend group plans a trip. Everyone's excited. You're calculating alone time possibilities, smiling while doing mental math. How many hours of mandatory socializing? Can I skip the group dinner? Is there a legitimate excuse to leave early? They're thinking about the trip. You're thinking about surviving the trip. That's the difference. And here's what changes everything. That difference doesn't go away. You don't age out of it. You don't fix it with therapy or self-help books or positive thinking. You've been looking for the cure. There is no cure. Because it's not a disease. It's just you. You see more. You feel more. You process differently. And the world isn't built for that. The world is built for the middle of the bell curve. You're out on the edge. It's lonely there. Yeah. I'm not going to lie and say it isn't. But it's also where the interesting shit happens. The people who changed things, who created things, who saw things differently, they were all out there on the edge too. Uncomfortable, misunderstood, different. They stopped trying to translate themselves into normal. They use their difference as the raw material. You can do that too. Or you can keep performing, keep exhausting yourself, keep pretending the way you think is wrong. But here's what I've learned. Pretending takes more energy than being, even when being is harder. Because at least when you're being yourself, your actual weird, intense, overthinking self, you're not spending half your energy on camouflage. You're not running 2 programs at once. You're just running. And some people won't get it. Most people won't get it. They'll think you're too much or too little or too weird. So what? Their comfort is not your responsibility. You've been acting like it is. Like you owe the world an easier version of yourself. You don't. You owe yourself the truth. And the truth is, you were never meant to fit in. The shape of you was never designed for the spaces they built. That's not failure. That's just fact. And when you accept that, really accept it, not in the self-help inspirational quote way, but in the "oh, this is just how it is" way, something shifts. Not everything. You don't suddenly become comfortable at parties. You don't stop overthinking. You don't turn into someone who enjoys small talk. But you stop apologizing for it. You stop trying to fix it. You stop treating your own mind like it's the problem. Because it's not. It never was. The problem was thinking that being different meant being wrong. It doesn't. It just means being different. And that's harder. Lonelier sometimes. More complicated. But it's real. And real, even when it's hard, beats pretending every single time. You've been pretending your entire life. What if you stopped? Not all at once, not dramatically, just slowly. One honest response at a time. One moment of not calculating. One instance of saying what you actually think instead of what you're supposed to think. What if? It won't fix everything. There's no fixing. There's just being. Being different. Being yourself. Being okay with the fact that you'll never quite fit. And maybe that's the thing you've been looking for. Not a solution, just permission. Permission to stop performing, to stop translating, to stop apologizing for the way your brain works. You've always felt different because you are different. That's not going to change. But what changes is whether you keep treating that like a problem that needs solving or like a fact that needs accepting. I can't tell you which one to choose, but I can tell you this. One of those paths leads to exhaustion. The other one leads to, I don't know, something else. Something real. And real, even when it's uncomfortable, is where you've always belonged anyway. You just forgot that for a while you were busy pretending to be everyone else.